Well, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. It is 10:30 in the morning in California time. So, Kirsuma, it's always good to see you here. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, so let's see. I woke up to some interesting news this morning, and my phone has been blown up. My phone with the different Telegram chats that I'm in, within like try to get any kind of news, anything else from about what's going on with Alexei Navalny. So uh, we are we're going to discuss who is Alexei Navalny and what he represented to the Russian people and what he represented on the world stage as well, with him and his wife by his side. And we're going to talk about the different threats that he received before and why he was in prison, and go over some of the news articles. Also, go over the White House came up with a press conference about that as well. So we'll go over that, and we'll just going to keep an eye and talk about who Alexei Navalny is. And my condolences out to the family, to all of his close ones and loved ones. And as we know, the Russia is behind it. Russia is behind it, all of it, all the time. All right, let's see. I really wanted to watch the White House press conference at the beginning, and then we're going to dive in who Alexei Navalny really is and what his legacy is all about. He does have a documentary that he released right before he went to prison, and the documentary is available on YouTube, and I'll post a link on it at the description as well, about to actually watch his documentary. Very, very well put together. Let's see. Oh, today I'm drinking coffee this morning because, like I said, my phone's been blown up about like everything that's been happening. All right. Let's start with the press conference that President Biden, because I haven't seen the press conference, so we're going to watch it together, and then we'll go into who Navalny is. Let's see. Let's play this.
Good afternoon. I'm heading off to East Palestine in a moment, but I wanted to say a few things this morning about Alexei Navalny. You know, like millions of people around the world, I'm literally both not surprised and outraged by the news. Reported death of Alexei Navalny. He bravely stood up to the corruption, the violence, and all the bad things that the Putin government was doing. In response, Putin had him poisoned, he had him arrested, he had him prosecuted for fabricated crimes, he sentenced him to prison, he was held in isolation. Even all that didn't stop him from calling out Putin's lies. Even in prison, he was a powerful voice for the truth, which is kind of amazing when you think about it. And he could have lived safely in exile after the assassination attempt on him in 2020, which nearly killed him, I might add. But he was traveling outside the country at the time. Instead, he returned to Russia. Knowing he'd likely be imprisoned or even killed if he continued his work. But he did it anyway because he believed so deeply in his country, in Russia. Reports of his death, if they're true, and I have no reason to believe they're not, Russian authorities are going to tell their own story. But make no mistake, Putin is responsible for Navalny's death. Putin is responsible. What has happened to Navalny is yet more proof of Putin's brutality. No one should be fooled, not in Russia, not at home, not anywhere in the world. Putin does not only target his citizens of other countries, as we've seen what's going on in Ukraine right now. He also inflicts terrible crimes on his own people. And as people across Russia and around the world are mourning Navalny today because he was so many things that Putin was not. He was brave, he was principled, he was dedicated to building a Russia where the rule of law existed and where it applied to everybody. Navalny believed in that Russia, that Russia. He knew it was a cause worth fighting for, and obviously even dying for. This tragedy reminds us of the stakes of this moment. We have to provide the funding so Ukraine can keep defending itself against Putin's vicious onslaughts and war crimes. You know, there was a bipartisan Senate vote that passed overwhelmingly in the United States Senate to fund Ukraine. Now, as I've said before, and I mean this in a literal sense, history is watching. History is watching the House of Representatives. The failure to support Ukraine at this critical moment will never be forgotten. It's going to go down in the pages of history. It really is. It's consequential. And the clock is ticking. And this has to happen. We have to help now. You know, we have to realize what we're dealing with Putin. All of us should reject the dangerous statements made by the previous president that invited Russia to invade our NATO allies if they weren't paying up. He said if an ally did not pay their dues, he'd encourage Russia to, quote, do whatever the hell they want. I guess I should clear my mind here a little bit and not say what I'm really thinking, but let me be clear. This is an outrageous thing for a president to say. I can't fathom from Truman on, they're rolling over in their graves hearing this. As long as I'm president, America stands by our sacred commitment to our NATO allies, as they have stood by their commitments to us repeatedly. Putin and the whole world should know, if any adversary were to attack us, our NATO allies would back us. And if Putin were to attack a NATO ally, the United States will defend every inch of NATO territory. Now's the time for even greater unity among our NATO allies, to stand up to the threat that Putin's Russia poses. You know, I send my deepest condolences to Alekse's staff and supporters. We're going to continue his work despite this loss, despite all of Putin's desperate attempts to stamp out the opposition, and most of all to his family, especially to his wife, his daughter, and his son, who've already sacrificed so much for their family and a shared dream for a better future for Russia. So I just want to say, God bless Aleksei Navalny. His courage will not be forgotten, and it will not be the only courage we see coming out of Russia in the near term. Thank you. I'll be happy to take a couple questions.
Sir, first, was this an assassination?
All right, so really quickly, by the way, this is, you guys, this is a very historical moment because before the war with Russia, Biden did come out before the war with Russia and Ukraine, and Biden did come out and said that if Putin will do anything to Alexei Navalny after their arrest, if he will do anything to him, the United States will take some action. So we'll see what's going to happen. And later on, like after, I do want to hear some of the questions that they're going to ask, and we'll dive into like who Alexei Navalny is and why he's such a prominent figure, and then extremely important, the fact that he actually passed away in prison, that in Russian prison somewhere in Siberia, and he's been got moved around into different prisons and everything. And the actual circumstances how he passed away are unknown. So we'll get to dive into that. But I do want to hear the questions and everything. Hey, Woody. So we're talking about Alexei Navalny's death, and my phone's been blowing up all morning. Everybody's saying like, hey, can you talk about this or what's going on? Because I've been a huge fan of Alexei Navalny from a very, very beginning, and I've also been a big critic of Putin's regime. So let's hear some of the questions. If you're just tuning in, we're watching the press conference from the White House of Biden talking about Aleksei Navalny. I'm not going to replay it, but you feel free to replay it earlier. Replay it, or if you wanted to listen later on as well. So here's the link to it. So I do want to get into the questions really fast.
The answer is we don't know exactly what happened, but there is no doubt that the death of Navalny was the consequence of something that Putin and his thugs did.
And to be clear, you warned Vladimir Putin.
Hold on 1 second. Did I lose you guys again? Let's see. Xfinity. I swear this is becoming. Okay, so you guys are still here because I was having some problems on my end and everything. Yeah, perfect. I've been having these problems with Xfinity, and all right, let's continue on.
When you were in Geneva, of devastating consequences if Navalny died in Russian custody. What consequences should he and Russia face?
That was 3 years ago. In the meantime, they faced a hell of a lot of consequences. They've lost and/or had wounded over 350,000 Russian soldiers. They've made them in a position where they've been subjected to great sanctions across the board, and we're contemplating what else could be done. But what we were talking about at the time, there were no actions being taken against Russia. And look, all that's transpired since then.
Can you say
How do you think
whether you're looking at increasing sanctions on Russia right now?
We're looking at a whole number of options. That's all I'll say right now.
Is there anything you can do to get ammunition to the Ukrainians without a supplemental from Congress?
No, but it's about time they step up, don't you think? Instead of going on a 2-week vacation. 2 weeks. They're walking away. 2 weeks. What are they thinking? My God, this is bizarre. And it's just reinforcing all the concern and almost, I won't say panic, but real concern about the United States being a reliable ally. This is outrageous.
Are you more confident now that you'll get the Ukraine aid, given what's happened today?
Well, I hope to God it helps. But I mean, the idea we need anything more to get the Ukraine aid. I mean, this is in light of a former president's statement that saying Russia, if they haven't paid their dues to us, go get them. Come on. What are these guys doing? What are they doing?
Sir, how concerned are you about the anti-satellite capability that Russia is developing? And what is your administration planning to do in response?
First of all, there is no nuclear threat to the people of America or anywhere else in the world with what Russia is doing at the moment, number one.
And we talked about this actually yesterday about the anti-satellite capabilities and the whole nuclear missiles in space, which is not, it's just nuclear powered anti-satellite capabilities. So
Number two, anything that they're doing or they will do relates to satellites in space and damaging those satellites potentially. Number three,
I'll see you Monday.
there is no evidence that they have made a decision to go forward with doing anything in space either. So what we found out, there was a capacity to launch a system into space that could theoretically do something that was damaging. Hadn't happened yet, and my hope is it will not.
Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. President.
I'll take one more.
Thank you, Mr. President. Switching gears for a moment, have the Israelis presented a credible evacuation plan for the nearly 1.5 million displaced Palestinians sheltering in Rafah? And what would the consequences be for Israel if they move ahead with a full-scale ground invasion without clear measures to protect civilians there?
Well, first of all, I've had extensive conversations with the Prime Minister of Israel over the last several days, almost an hour each. And I've made the case, and I feel very strongly about it, that there has to be a temporary ceasefire to get the prisoners out, to get the hostages out. And that is underway. I'm still hopeful that that can be done. And in the meantime, I don't anticipate, I'm hoping that that the Israelis will not make any massive land invasion in the meantime. So it's my expectation that's not going to happen. There has to be a ceasefire temporarily to get those hostages. By the way, we're in a situation where there are American hostages. American citizens are being held hostage. It's not just Israelis, it's American hostages as well. And, my hope and expectation is that we'll get this hostage deal. We'll bring the Americans home, and the deal is being negotiated now, and we're going to see where it takes us.
An FBI informant at the center of the impeachment inquiry into you has been indicted for allegedly lying. Your reaction to that, and should the inquiry be dropped?
He is lying, and it should be dropped, and it's just been an outrageous effort from the beginning. We did. No, I'm serious. See you in Ohio.
All right. Well, even though it sounds like he didn't say much, but he actually said a lot in here, because he did mention about 3 years ago when he mentioned if anything happens to Aleksei Navalny, he's going to do something. So yeah, Woody, the Russian elections are actually coming between the 15th and 17th of March, and actually right within a month. And the thing is, every single opposition leader that is very strong or has a stronger voice has been removed or mysteriously fell out of the window or arrested and put into prison for illegal demonstrations or any kind of because it is illegal to actually demonstrate against the war efforts, they don't even say in Russia, they don't even say it's the war efforts, it's the military operation. Even if you say just the war and protest it, that's it, you're gonna be put into prison. So a lot of the opposition leaders got either imprisoned or mysteriously disappeared. And Navalny was one of the biggest ones, and that he was one of the largest ones for a very long time, for years and years and years. And he has, him and his followers has a very strong voice. A lot of his followers are people my age or younger, people who are tuned into social media, and they had really huge YouTube channel where he would talk about the different things that are happening within Russia and then why it is wrong. And he's married to a wonderful woman that has a very strong voice within UN and all over Europe, and they live in Germany right now as well. So within Navalny, okay, so the elections, the 15 to 17 elections, so now they don't have any kind of opposition leaders, Hey, Rudy. And if President Putin gets elected again, he will get another 6-year term, and that 6-year term will put him into 2030. So that term will surpass Stalin's ruling of Russia. Stalin's ruling, I believe it was like over 24 years, about 27 years. We can look it up. So, but that term, if Putin wins, it will surpass Stalin's ruling. So it just kind of shows you that the fact that it's under dictatorship. It's not the democracy as people were expecting to be after the perestroika, after 1991, fall of Soviet Union. And Putin came into power in 2020. So far he's been in power for 24 years, right? Okay, so Aleksei Navalny, he was a lawyer and he's an anti-corruption activist and a political prisoner. And then he organized anti-government demonstrations and ran for office to advocate reforms against corruption in Russia and against the President Vladimir Putin and his government, right? So Navalny was a Russian opposition coordination council member, and he was the leader of Russia of the Future Party and founder of Anticorruption Foundation. And he was recognized by Amnesty International as a prisoner of conscience and was awarded a Sakharov Prize for his work on human rights. Okay, so Navalny in about 2020, he had over 6 million subscribers on his YouTube channel because this is where he was talking about a lot about opposition. And oh, hold on, I'm actually, because I'm getting all kinds of notifications on the Telegram right now about like what is happening as everything unfolding, because this is huge news. And is the largest news since the Prigozhin's death. And Prigozhin, he was a large supporter. He was obviously leader of Wagner Group within Ukraine. And after he turned on Putin and tried to march with tanks and everything into Moscow, something happened in halfway, so they got turned around, and then they went to Belarus. They ended up in Belarus, and then from Belarus he flew back to Moscow, and then all of a sudden his plane fell out of the sky because Russians like to shut down planes from the sky, right? So that was an opposition leader that is newly formed, and he mysteriously passed away. There's another region not far from Moscow where a lot of majority of the soldiers that are fighting in Ukraine, their families are actually from this region. And one of the opposition leaders from this region actually came out and started saying that he's going to run against Putin. And mysteriously, he got put into prison for illegally creating demonstrations. I think there's oppositions already starting in, let's see this one. Okay, so it's already starting in Russia. I see, hold on, let me see if I can share this video with you. Okay. Tab. So this video is going to be without a sound, but you guys get to see it a little bit. It's only 20 seconds long. So I'm just saying, this is brutality that's yeah, so it's already starting. We're hoping not people not gonna get hurt over this, right? But this right here is 100% raw, fresh, and the news are still coming out. The stuff, the leader from Bulgaria plane crashed too. I thought to use anyway when I send the breaking news. This is what Putin does. I put past him. So leader of Bulgaria. Let's see. Yeah. So while I'm doing the research about the leader of Bulgaria, right? There's a couple more videos that I wanted you guys to see. So this right here, this is Navalny's wife, and then she spoke in a Munich security conference, and this was this morning that she spoke. And obviously you can tell that she was crying already, and she's grieving her loving husband. Okay, Yulia. And it's so emotional. I actually cried myself. Okay. Let's do this.
Наверное, вы все уже видели, приходящие сегодня.
Okay, so this one is the subtitles. Actually, Let me see if there's hold on a second. Let me see if there's actually not subtitles one, so that way you can guys hear the sound. Because I don't mind. I can read Russian. I speak, read, and write. It's my native tongue. Let's see. Navalny wife speaks. And then she's such a beautiful woman. And then this, it's okay. No, all of it is in Russian. They haven't had a translation yet. Let's, okay, let's see. I'm probably gonna get, midstream, probably gonna get cut off again. Okay. All right. Come on. Give me something in English. English version. All right, CNN. All right, CNN. This one is actually pretty good. While I'm doing a little bit of research about the recent plane crash of the Bulgarian leader. Share screen so that way you can guys listen to it. There you go. Perfect.
After one of Vladimir Putin's sharpest critics, Russian opposition leader Aleksei Navalny, was reported dead in a Russian prison, reportedly dying after taking a walk, a fatal walk. U.S. officials are still waiting to confirm the Russian state media claim. Navalny's wife had this to say just a short time ago in front of dozens of heads of state.
If it is the truth, I would like Putin and all his staff, everybody around him, his government, his friends, I want them know that they will be punished for what they have done with our country, with my family, and with my husband. They will be brought to justice, and this day will come soon.
What strength to stand there in Munich. With us now, CNN's chief international correspondent Clarissa Ward and Matthew Chance, chief global affairs correspondent. Clarissa, you could see the anger and also the resolve from Alexei Navalny's wife there.
It was a very emotional moment. And she actually started out, John, by saying, I thought for a moment, do I go home to my family right now? Or do I stand here and address you? And then I asked myself, what would Aleksei do? What would Aleksei want me to do? And I have no doubt that he would want me to stand here to address you and to issue that withering rebuke to Russian President Vladimir Putin. Of course, at this stage, we don't know exactly what killed Aleksei Navalny. We have only been told through Russian media that he took a walk at the penal colony where he was suffering terrible treatment, where he had at times been in less than good health. And yet when we saw him yesterday via teleconference from a courtroom, he appeared healthy, he appeared jovial. We've also heard a report from his mother who told Novaya Gazeta, the Russian publication, that she wouldn't be accepting condolences because she couldn't believe it, because she had seen Alexei Navalny on February 14th, that he had appeared to be in good health and good humor. And so there are real questions about exactly what happened to him. But you heard also at the Munich Security Conference, the Vice President Kamala Harris saying, whatever happened, Russia is responsible. He was in the custody of the Russian state. And so the question really now becomes, what does this mean for Russia's opposition, which has already been so brutally stomped out? Does this mean, could we see potentially more protests or resurgence of the sort of protest movements that Alexei Navalny had previously galvanized in Russia? Or is this it? Is this the end? Is this message that there is absolutely no opposition of any shape or form to be tolerated inside Putin's Russia, John?
Yeah, and to that point, you heard from Alexei Navalny's wife saying that Vladimir Putin, Russia will be punished. I suppose, Matthew Chance, the question is, will they? Will Russians blame someone for this?
I mean, look, we don't know the answers to that yet, but look, I can tell you that many Russians that I've spoken to or expressed their views in the media are expressing their shock that this has happened, that Alexei Navalny, who is undoubtedly the most high-profile opposition figure in the country, has died whilst in the custody of the Russian prison authorities. Now, whether that will have an impact in the way that Alexei Navalny has had an impact in the past, he's been able to bring out tens of thousands of people onto the streets in towns and cities across the country when he's called for them in the past. But we're in a different environment now. And there's been this chill descend over the Russian opposition. And this is yet another very potent message to opponents of the Kremlin about the terrible consequences that can befall you if you stand up to Vladimir Putin and his regime. Because remember, no matter how shocking this death of Alexei Navalny is, it's not altogether surprising. I mean, Alexei Navalny was himself poisoned and narrowly escaped death, a couple of years ago. He chose to come back to.
Oh, speaking of that, he was just mentioning about the poisoning. And in 2020, August 20th, 2020, Navalny actually, here, I'll get back to this one. So in August 2020, Navalny he fell ill, and it was in Russia. He fell ill, and they flew him to Germany, and come to find out that it was Novichok. Novichok, which is a nerve agent. It's a chemical weapon. It's a nerve agent, and he miraculously actually survived from that. And then that was in the first attempt to get rid of Navalny. And that was actually the second attempt to get rid of him. And for the third time, Navalny went back to Russia because he said that I cannot support people from another country. I have to be with my people within my country. And he went back to Russia. And as soon as he landed in Moscow, he was put in prison and given a pretty long term for being an opposition leader. And a lot of the charges that he was facing, they were absolutely ridiculous charges. So we can talk about the Novichok a little bit later when I'll brush up on some chemical weapons, and maybe we can do some Seaburn stream, chem-bio-rad nuclear stream. Let's see. So I was looking at this right here, and well, the leader of Belarus is Lukashenko, right? And I think you're talking about the plane crash that Wagner was in. Wagner was a leader of oh my God, I'm blanking. Wagner leader, sorry, Prigozhin was in that plane crash. So Prigozhin was leader of Wagner Group. That is a strong group that was doing a lot of destruction in Ukraine. And that group actually came from recruiting of Russian prisoners. And so it wasn't the leader, it was the leader of the Wagner Group. And why this important? Because Prigozhin, he was a huge Putin supporter. Obviously, he created this Wagner Group and recruited all kinds of people from prisons, and they sent them to Ukraine to fight, which they were putting a pretty big dent in the fighting efforts, and it hurt Ukrainian front lines. But now he decided to turn against Putin. He decided to turn against Russia. And he's saying that his troops are not receiving any supplies and everything. And then he came very, very strong opposition to Putin. and he took all of his troops and then turned it around with tanks and everything, crossed the border back into Russia, and then they came very close to Moscow, to actually storming Moscow with, and it happened not long ago, so storming Moscow with tanks and weapons and very military style tactics. And then he was gaining support as he was heading to Russia. But we don't know. Sorry, I'm stopping because I'm getting all of these notifications in here. So these are some of the Russian and Ukrainian channels, and so we don't know what actually happened and why he turned around and flew to Belarus. We probably will never know that. And then while he was in Belarus, he was flying to Moscow. And then he flying to Moscow, and that's when mysteriously the plane crashed, right? And then Russians like to put planes out of the skies, and that's been proven, especially in 2015 plane crash over the Ukrainian city. Let's see, my thoughts and prayers with his family. Yes, indeed. And it's I actually just mentioned that on my live, like I think it was yesterday. Yeah. Oh no, not yesterday. It was the golden hours live stream that we talked about Tucker Carlson and Putin's conversation. So I mentioned it that hopefully he's not going to be harmed, and if he will be harmed, it's kind of going to create a huge ripple effect within Europe and actually within the world, because Navalny is very well known, and then he was the only strongest opponent or somebody who can actually lead Russia into great things, and then as in should have been going to at the very early 2000s. And unfortunately, President Putin actually took over in 2000s, and he's been in power ever since. What's interesting is all of this is coming out right a month before the Russian elections, and it's the fact that if something does happen during the Russian elections, Navalny could have been taken out of prison and then be placed as a leader, and or have at least some kind of choice for the Russian people to vote. Now we don't have they don't have anybody. They don't have anybody that they can actually vote for. So let's continue watching this right here, and then we'll going to dive into Meduza. Meduza is actually I met the guys of Meduza paper, and it's the website. They came into my grad school back in 2015 to talk about the propaganda that's coming out from Russia. So they actually based out of Latvia, I believe, and they are reporting on everything that's happening within Russia and as is. So we'll dive into the Meduza news and see what's going on over there. But let's continue watching this right here.
To place himself at the center of Russian politics, having, narrowly escaped death himself. And then, of course, there's a long list of opponents of Putin, opponents of the Kremlin and its critics, who have met, tragic ends. I mean, just last year, although perhaps I wouldn't describe it as a tragedy, Yevgeny Prigozhin, who was a supporter of Putin, turned somebody who staged a military uprising against Putin's authority. Well, he was killed in a plane crash under suspicious circumstances. Before that, the list goes on, but in 2015, I went to the funeral and covered the assassination of Boris Nemtsov, who was the sort of Aleksei Navalny of his time, if you like. He was the most vocal critic, the most prominent opposition figure against the Kremlin. He was gunned down outside the walls of the Kremlin, and the list goes on. And so again, this is shocking, but it does fit into a pattern of critics of the Kremlin who meet sticky ends.
You cross Vladimir Putin, a lot of people end up dead. A lot of people have fallen out of windows, literally, or pushed. Who knows? Defenestration. is an interesting word in Russia. Clarissa Ward, can you speak to the years of courage that Alexei Navalny showed? It's something that you saw firsthand.
Well, the decision, John, to go back to Russia, when I interviewed him shortly after he was recuperating from being poisoned with Novichok, and I said, why would you go back? You know the risks. You know that they tried to kill you. But he was very sanguine about the risks. He was very determined to see and fulfill his mission, which he believed was to serve the Russian people. He understood implicitly that he could not do that in exile. He knew the risks, and yet he decided to go ahead and do what he felt was necessary and important to do. And I think that any criticism that one could possibly level at Alexei Navalny, certainly cowardice is not one of them. This is a man who is one of the most, or was one of the most extraordinarily courageous individuals, certainly that I have ever interviewed, John.
He walked into the fire. Clarissa Ward, Matthew Chance, thank you both so much for being with us. I know we're going to talk to you again very soon.
In 2021, US President Joe Biden warned Russian President Vladimir Putin that Moscow would face devastating consequences if Alexei Navalny were to die in prison. Here are Mr. Biden's remarks to the media about that conversation.
What do you say would happen if opposition leader Alexei Navalny dies?
I made it clear to him that I believe the consequences of that would be devastating for Russia.
Well, let's get to Arlette Saenz at the White House. What has been the response?
Yes. Hey, welcome. So if you guys are coming in again in here, this is breaking news. It just happened this morning, and Alexei Navalny did pass away, and he was a strong opposition leader. So I am gathering as much information as I can as of right now through the different Ukrainian and Russian channels. And we are President Biden came out earlier in a press conference, and he was talking about the death of Navalny, and we watched his wife. Well, actually, I do want to rewatch that video, and I'll comment it where she speaks in Russian, actually. And even though there's a subtitles translations, but I'll be able to comment it. I think it's very important to see the actual, because obviously she was crying, and it's very important to see the emotions. And then the fact that she was talking in Europe about this, and she decided to come up and talk instead of going to her family, and because she would say, like, what would my husband do? And that's what he would do. So Bolt and bankrupt is my only form of Russian history. Sorry, Zanime, thank you for educating us. Well, I don't understand Russian politics. I think it's very interesting, and yes, I fear Putin. I can explain a little bit about Russian politics at the later time if you stick around, but let's continue watching this. And I got some other things that I already found on Medusa. Like I said, Medusa is a Russian operated website, but it's propaganda free. They are not located within Russia, so that's why they're actually allowed to report. And a lot of the factual information is coming from that website. And let's continue watching this really fast. Let's see. I'm familiar with Navalny. Yeah, I'm very familiar. I've been his supporter since 2015-16 when he was just starting out, and then in 2017 he got some green dye got splashed into his eye. So there was like one of the attempts that on his life, and the second attempt was August 20th, 2020, with a chemical agent Novichok, which is they're able to determine from a chemical structure that Novichok actually came from Russia. And, well, Novichok is a nerve agent, right? But he miraculously survived that. But at a later time, he decided to go back to Russia, because he said that he cannot be a leader from another country. He cannot be a leader to the Russian people from another country. So he's the very, very strong opposition leader to Putin. And that's why, was it on was it on his flight? No, he passed away. So yes, the green dye was on a flight, and then the Novichok was actually happened in Russia, and then they transported him from Moscow to Germany. But now he passed away in prison, and then the Russian authorities right now they're just saying that he passed away from natural causes on his little walk. But who knows? Maybe it's a huge political move because of the Russian elections that are happening within the next month. Yeah, Medusa. Medusa is the website. It's you actually have great news here. I'll send website. So we'll dive into this because they are factual news and zero propaganda. They are run by Russian journalists and out of Latvia, I believe, and they had to flee Russia to be able to report this. And I got to meet them in 2015 during my grad school. They came out and actually spoke because I was studying Russia-Ukraine relations at the time. So it was perfect the fact that we were able to get them to invite them to our college to be speakers about like what this website really is. So they gather information within Russia from a different independent journalist of actually what is happening, what's happening on the ground. And they have a Telegram channel. They have, because Telegram, it's an app that they can actually reach a wider crowd because there's a lot of Russians, Ukrainians on Telegram, and I believe they have a YouTube channel as well. So, I can't answer that right now. Okay, let's see. Let's continue watching this really fast, and I will we'll dive into what's happening in actually Medusa papers. Oh no, there it is, right here.
Only were to die in prison. Here are Mr. Biden's remarks to the media about that conversation.
What do you say would happen if opposition leader Aleksei Navalny dies?
I made it clear to him that I believe the consequences of that would be devastating for Russia.
Well, let's get to Arlette Saenz at the White House. What has been the response at this point?
Well, Becky, White House officials, administration officials have been stressing they are still working on actual confirmation of these reports that Alexei Navalny died while in prison. Russia, but they have expressed their belief that this is a terrible tragedy. We've also heard directly from Vice President Kamala Harris and Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who both said, even as they're waiting confirmation for these reports, that they believe Russia is responsible. We also know Blinken met privately with the wife of Alexei Navalny, Yulia, to express his condolences if these reports actually do pan out to be true. But it does come, as you heard from President Biden there, that he has warned Russian President Vladimir Putin directly that the consequences of Navalny dying in prison would be devastating for Russia. Now, this was before Russia invaded Ukraine, before the crippling sanctions that had been issued against the country in the wake of that invasion. So there's a big question about what the consequences would look like now. That is something National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan hinted at a bit earlier today in his own remarks about this, saying that they will be working with countries once they've confirmed that this is true to figure out what those next steps will be. But this is something Biden has really been pressing Putin on since the beginning of his administration. In his very first phone call with Putin, Biden raised the need for Putin to immediately release Navalny. That is something that administration officials consistently have been pushing for in recent years. Now, right now, just a short while ago, Vice President Kamala Harris delivered remarks in Munich where she talked about how this is a further sign of Putin's brutality in Russia. But Harris's meetings and conversations that are ongoing in Munich are now really taking on a heightened significance. Harris had been traveling there in one part to talk about the U.S. role in the world, but also U.S. commitment to NATO allies at a time when back here at home, former President Donald Trump recently suggested suggested that he would encourage Putin to do whatever he wants to countries who have not met their NATO obligations. The vice president made a very veiled reference to that in her remarks a bit earlier, saying, imagine if we went easy on Putin, let alone encouraged him. So this reported death of Navalny certainly will raise the stakes of her conversations she is having there overseas. We are still waiting to hear from President Biden. To certainly anticipate there will be, at least at the very least, a paper statement from him. He's also expected to travel a bit later today, so we will see what exactly the president has to say. But this is very concerning to the White House, and the next questions going forward is what the White House, what the U.S. and its allies might do to respond to this reported death of Navalny while in prison.
Okay, let's see. I've actually just found something. My friend just sent this to me. So on February 8th, Aleksei Navalny, he actually, in a phone call from prison, on a phone call from prison, he fulfilled his civic minimum for campaigning. He called on FSI members, which is the финансовую голосовать, призывал финансовую гражданскую агитацию. So basically, some of the members to vote against Putin. He said, you and I have a lot more tools, and we're also free. There's just over a month left before the election, which means the end of the period when people are more willing to discuss politics. Don't waste time, campaign. And that's what he said on February 8th, which is a week ago. You see, so that's why the fact that he has a strong voice, the fact that he has a large following all throughout the world, and Russia killed Navalny. Putin killed Navalny. Not personally, but he probably made an order, unfortunately. All right, let's get to the Medusa. Okay, let's see. Add to stage. So Medusa. So this is the website. I sent it earlier, right? Right, Laura? And okay, I wanted to read this again, what he said on February 8th. У нас с вами инструментов немного больше, а еще мы на свободе. Okay, you and I have a lot more tools, and we are also free. There's just over a month left before the election, which means the end of period when people are more willing to discuss politics. Don't waste time, campaign. Не теряйте время, агитируйте. Putin never played fair. Since the beginning of time, he never played fair. Since the perestroika, since the 1991, when he was stationed in Berlin, in East Berlin, as a KGB agent, he never plays fair. And he was just sat in his little office and did absolutely nothing. All right. But we can get into how he got into power at the later stream. Let's see. So this right here is Medusa, right? Medusa. And you can have it in Russian, you can have it in English. They have a really good translation. And as I mentioned earlier, this is free press, and they are just working on supporters, and it's propaganda free. It's everything that's really happening on the ground. So Russian opposition politician Aleksei Navalny has passed away. So let's see live updates. All right, so live updates. What happened? What we know so far. According to FSIN, which is Russian Federation statement, Navalny felt unwell after a walk and almost immediately lost consciousness. All necessary resuscitation measures were carried out, which did not yield positive results. Emergency medical personnel confirmed the death of the convict. The cause of death is being established. Yeah, right. Navalny's team has not yet confirmed the news, but announced on YouTube that his death appears to be likely. Vladimir Putin is aware of Navalny's death, but the president did not comment on the matter during a visit on Friday to Chelyabinsk. His spokesman has criticized Western responses as premature and inappropriate. Alleged cause of death is, sources told Russian state propaganda network RT, Russian state, it's a Russian television, RT News. They actually got labeled, so RT News, do not go watch. It's 100% Russia propaganda. So RT News by the government, by the US government, got labeled as a propaganda channel. So it actually got taken off on a lot of different platforms. Let's see. So Russian state television channels devoted less than a minute, that was 10 minutes ago, then Navalny's death. And TV reported the politician's death on the 4 p.m. news broadcast. And get this, it's a large difference, large time difference between here and Russia, right? Okay, so an anchor read the Federal Penitentiary Service press release at the 13th minute and reported Navalny's death on the 6 p.m. news broadcast, and Russia made no mention of Navalny's death. Okay, so latest updates. Oh, speaking of memorials, there is on a Telegram channel, they're trying to reach out Navalny's Telegram channel. They are reaching out to Russian population, saying like, "Hey, there are memorials. There are different memorials set up throughout Russia." So, which is very interesting, and hopefully people will actually show up. And one of the videos we saw already that people are just getting brutally arrested again. So there are some protests already happening within Russian Federation. What time is it in Russia right now? What time is it in Russia? Okay, so 10:29 p.m. Oh, so they're only 9 hours ahead. Okay, let's see. There are memorials and demonstrations for Navalny in cities across Russia and the world. In Russia, people are bringing flowers, posters, candles, and portraits of Aleksei Navalny to memorials for victims of political repression. Abroad, there are gatherings at Russian embassies and consulates. Police have begun arresting people in Moscow, St. Petersburg, and Nizhny Novgorod. The Moscow prosecutor's office has warned against mass demonstrations because the demonstrations are illegal, especially speaking out against the war and or any kind of opposition to the current administration in Russia. So let's see. Ivan Zhdanov, the director of Alexei Navalny's anti-corruption foundation, said that Navalny was most likely killed. According to Zhdanov, Navalny's family has not yet been officially notified of his death. But that was at 10 p.m. Navalny's family, yes, they have been notified, but it's still not particularly confirmed of his how the means of his passing. A bot network is operating on social media to spread the Kremlin's narrative that Navalny's death doesn't benefit Russian authorities. US President Joe Biden said that Vladimir Putin bears responsibility for Navalny's death. What has happened to Navalny is yet more proof of Putin's brutality. Putin himself has not commented on Navalny's death. According to Putin's press secretary, the Russian president has been informed about the incident. Okay, so let's see. Navalny's team posted an image with his words, "Not death, but murder." Команда Навального. Let's see this one. Ooh, there's a new Telegram channel that I can join. All right, so Команда Навального. Let's join this because I have Navalny on Telegram. I have the let's see, Navalny supporters, right? Just Navalny actual his, but this is Team Navalny. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I won't be able to play the sound and stuff, but I'm going to show you a video of the demonstrations. And let's see. Hey, just got home playing catch up. We just talked about rival politicians recently. Yeah, so we're talking about the death of Alexei Navalny in here, and yeah, please feel free to catch up. And this is unraveling news, and we're still gonna we have a lot of information coming in as we received. So this one literally just came out like 5 minutes ago, and so this one is about the memorials already starting in Russia. So we're not gonna play the music because it's copyrighted, but I am going to show you. Let's see. Let's do this video. I'm going to show you the actual people are gathering. So, and then I'll translate. I'll translate as in Russian, from Russian to English. Okay, so this one is митинги за Алексея Навального по всему миру, which is meetings for the Alexei Navalny around the world. So it's not just in Russia, it's around the world. And so they're gathering. And then this is the memorials around the world. So this definitely looks like Europe. So the gatherings. And people are just coming to demonstrate and provide the support for Alexei Navalny. Zimich. Oh, this is in Germany. Не забудь Навальный. Let's see. And then he had a lot of young followers, as young as 17 and 18. And I'm 40 years old, and so I was raised in communism, and I was there. I remember during when communism fell in 1991. I was still very young, but there are a lot of people my age are speaking out against the what's happening within Russia and Ukraine. Okay, so that was really nice. And yeah, that was really nice. We'll get back into Medusa updates because let's see, get back to the Medusa updates. So any kind of videos that are coming out right away, I will be displaying them. Share screen. Okay. So that way we can get the actual real life. Oh my goodness. There are photos too. Okay, so this one is Hamburg, Dusseldorf. Okay, let's just actually take a look at photos. Let's see. Photos. So this one is Tel Aviv, Zurich, Amsterdam, Belgrade, Berlin, Buenos Aires, Dusseldorf, Praga, Hamburg, and Stuttgart. So there's gatherings of all of the supporters of Alexei Navalny. Oh, hold on. Add to stage. So these are some photographs that just recently came out. Like I said, they are all over the world. Oh, that's so sweet. So we'll see what will happen within Russia, and everybody's saying Putin killed Navalny and want murders to face justice. And then this one says ubili, which is killed. And more photos. And then we already have seen this video. That's so sad. So sad. Because everybody thought that this is not going to happen. Everybody thought that it's a glimpse of hope. It's a glimpse of hope that people could have within Russia. And that glimpse of hope just got taken away. My mother's from Finland. I always wanted to go to Finland. That makes me feel like Americans take for granted their ability to protest. Well, we already have seen, in a way, how the Americans like to protest, especially on January 6th. We're not even going to go into that one. Let's see. Let's see if there's anything else we can find. Okay, so basically, this one is what Joe Biden has said. Акции по всему миру российских посольств. Okay, so there's all over the world, they're saying that all over the world there are protests by the Russian embassies. Oh my god, that's Luna. That's my cat is playing, being all noisy. Okay, so this one. Okay, yeah, so this is all in Russian. They're basically different people coming out and speaking. Because actually, you know what? I am going to, even though it's in Russian, there's some of this stuff is in English and with subtitles. So this is Aleksei Navalny's YouTube page, right? And then they they actually have some, like, the news, kind of a newscast, a news station, right? And then this is his YouTube page where you can find some of the things that they actually saying as the truth. So they were live earlier, actually streamed 1 hour ago. Yeah, so it's all in Russian, and unfortunately it'll be really hard for me to Okay, it's not gonna be hard for me to translate to you guys, but it'll be pretty brutal, because it's 1 hour long video. I want to be able to scrub it and maybe get some of the points out, and then I'll be able to post a little bit of updates in a little bit. Let's see what else we can find. Okay, some more photographs, and everybody's protesting around the Russian embassies all over the world. Let's see, there's more. Okay, so nothing new so far on this one. Let's see. That's so sad. Oh my goodness, what is going on in the world? I want to travel to another planet where it's gonna be nice and peaceful. Wait, where did it go? Political Ukraine. No, Medusa. Okay. Anyways, so let's do this. Oh, that's why. Because I didn't join. I didn't join the Telegram channel. That's why. Okay, let's join his channel to make sure we get all the updates. Okay. Let's continue on. Let's see. Who was this guy? Just got here. Hi, Melissa. Welcome. Okay, so Aleksei Navalny is a very, very strong opposition leader to Putin. And hey, if my internet is going Unstable. Okay, if my internet is going to be unstable again, please bear with me. I'm fighting with Xfinity right now. So it's gonna come in and out. So anyway, so Alexei Navalny, he was an opposition leader against Putin. And he has a very strong following, over 6 million on YouTube, and very strong following all throughout the world. And he was speaking out against the corruption within Russia, against Putin, against his regime. And he has a lot of people who are his supporters. I love you. Thank you. It's great. It's great because all of these news and everything about the war efforts and everything's going on give me already gray hair. I went from purple to gray. So he was arrested. He was arrested earlier, and not within this year, a couple years ago. And the reason he was arrested because he went back to Russia and he said that I cannot lead Russian people from another country. I have to be within Russia. He knew the risks. He knew the risk that he will get arrested, and he still went. He still went. And hey, Nikki, welcome. Okay, so he still went back to Russia, and as soon as the plane landed and they stepped out of the plane, he already got arrested and put into prison. Then he got unfair long sentence to be in prison, and then in between he got transferred between different prisons without any kind of notification or anything. So finally he went to Siberian prison, and his cell was very, very small. He was very isolated, and the Russian Federation came out and said that he just passed away on his little walk. But everybody's saying that Putin killed Navalny. And this is not the first time that he had an attempt on his life. Back in 2017, he got some kind of green dye sprayed into his eye. He got a little sick after that. And then in 2020, August 20th, 2020, he actually got they're trying to poison him with Novichok, which is a chemical agent. It's a nerve agent, and miraculously, he survived that, which was fantastic. And he has a really good documentary out about the corruption within Russia, how the whole state is corrupt, the Putin's regime is corrupt, and the efforts that they were trying to lead to actually put out and say that, hey, this is not okay. He was for the Russian people. Yeah, terrible news. My phone's been blowing up since this morning. That's why I figured, because I am very knowledgeable in this topic. It's it's very dear to my heart, obviously, right? And especially with the war in Ukraine that is happening, and understanding how Russian people actually feel, and then because some of them getting just the news from the news sources, but the younger generation, obviously, they can get their news from any kind of channels. Just throw in some VPN, and you can actually go into any kind of country and read their news. So, and the fact that the whole regime has been it's just been terrible. It's terrible. So I felt that this is my right to actually stand and speak and let people know that what is happening, because during my grad school, I was concentrating on Russian-Ukrainian relations, international relations, because I went to grad school started in 2014, graduated in 2016. And in 2014, this is when Russia invaded Ukraine for the first time, where there's a lot of protests that happen in Maidan and then in Kiev. And the Putin is saying, which we do not believe anything that he's saying, that those protests were organized by CIA, but we know better. It was not organized by CIA. And then right after, like during those protests, Putin swooped in and tried to take over Crimea, which he eventually did falsely take over Crimea by running the voting booth of who wants to be part of Russia. And then they started fighting in the eastern bloc of Ukraine with eastern bloc of Ukraine in Lugansk and Donetsk region. So, and that was happening in 2014 till 16. Actually, it was happening for a long time. Okay. So, okay. Putin spouts unbelievable conspiracy propaganda. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He spouts unbelievable. Okay, so let's see. Let's see if we got any other news coming in before we get into here. I know that President Zelensky right now, he's in France. Yeah, he's in France for a conference. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do Medusa. So Medusa is a really, really good website where you can get your information about Russia, and it's independently ran out of Latvia, I believe. I still need to figure out, but it's independently ran, and they're actually getting information from independent journalists within Russia that are propaganda free, and they vet right before they post anything. They vet everything, and this is a really, really good source for you to use if you want to be able to understand a little bit more about Russian politics. They have some games in there for you to be able to understand a little bit more of Russian politics and why it is important. The fact that all of these opposition leaders are mysteriously dropping out of planes and windows, because there's an election going on it's next month. It's between 15th and 17th. You know what? It is exactly a month to a day. So their election are happening where Putin obviously is going to run for another 6-year term. If he does run for the 6-year term, and if he does win, we'll just say with a 86% popular vote, because that's what he won as a last election, with that kind of 86% popular vote, right? If he does win, he will be president again until 2030. That means that he will be the longest ran president dictator in Russian history. It is longer than Stalin's regime. And it just kind of tells you that that's not democracy. That's not democracy. It's either monarchy, right? Like we have in England, God rest its queen, or dictatorship. And I would say it's 100% dictatorship. Cutthroat politics over there. Yes, very, very cutthroat politics. And I can actually, since we're going to be here for a little bit, let's see, I can actually go into a little bit of politics and then how the politics operate between the parliament and Duma within Russia itself. And because it could be really interesting for people to know, because of the elections that are happening between the 15th and 16th of March. England protests reports too. Yes, because our monarchy is a political. Okay, let's see. Many journalists had to flee from Russia because they dared to report the truth. Yes, and then that's why, like, the Medusa. Well, it got created a while back. I think they started out in 2013, and they started moving on in 14 because of the things that are happening between Russia and Ukraine at that time. We were actually able to, during my grad school time, we were actually able to get the founders of Medusa come out and speak in my grad school because we had the Russian-Ukrainian relations different studies. And my grad school was an international grad school, and it was for international studies, and you have to have a second language, a master's level master's level second language to actually attend the grad school. So a lot of the courses that I took were in Russian language, which interesting. But when we got them invited, so they were able to speak in front of the crowd in 2015, and it was fantastic because they were just starting out, and I've been following them ever since. And so these are like a really good news. Let's see if there's any other updates really fast. Whoops. Okay, so Putin, hell is waiting for you, protesters in Russia. So this is 18 minutes ago. Okay. What is this one? Putin, hell is waiting for you. Protesters in Russia and around the globe gathered to mourn Aleksei Navalny. On February 16, people in Russia and around the world took to the streets following news from Russia's Federal Penitentiary Service that leads opposition figure Aleksei Navalny had died in Arctic prison. Earlier in the day, in Arctic prison, imagine how cold it is, because right now is February. So I can't, and it makes me feel cold just by thinking about it. Okay, in Russia, numerous mourners expressed their anger and sorrow by bringing flowers to monuments honoring the victims of political repressions. In some cities, police were stationed around these memorials. In Ulanovsk, people in plain clothes began removing flowers and taking pictures of protesters. In Novosibirsk, the authorities cordoned off statue, citing a supposed bomb threat. In Moscow, at the Wall of Grief on Academician Sakharov Avenue, an activist was arrested after staging one-person picket protest. Outside of Russia, people have begun bringing flowers and anti-Putin posters to Russian embassies. Medusa shares photos from the demonstrations. So this is, she's holding up a sign, says "Ubийцы," which means killers. I just keep getting some. Okay. Новая газета. This was в Петербурге разогнали акцию памяти Алексея. Okay, so this is new. It's literally just 2 minutes old. So I'm gonna share this video really fast. Remember, we're gathering information as it comes in, as it like really comes in, so that way everybody can stay informed of what's happening. Share screen. Okay, let's see. So these are some videos that are actually coming in from Russia already. By the way, I'm not going to play the sound because it might be copyright, so we don't want to do that. And this is just purely for our purposes to take a look and fair use. So it looks like the police officers or militia or policia already arresting some. Okay, this is 2 minutes. So as you can see, the police officers are arresting protesters, and this is at night, and it's about 11 p.m. right now in Russia. I'm not sure exactly the city this is at. Oh, this is cold out in there. Okay, so looks like people are filming it on their phones, and some people in plain clothes just standing around. And then they're just filming the police officers. I wonder why they're not arresting people who are filming. Okay. See, so basically they just the the protesters, or not protesters, but the supporters of Navalny, So this video footage is from Russia that just came out a couple minutes ago. And basically, they gathered to provide support for Navalny and to grieve. And looks like there's some people are getting arrested. And they are, see, even the guy with the flowers, he just brought the guy with flowers, he just brought the flowers to as in the memorial, so he was already getting arrested too. So because you're not supposed to protest in Russia, right, especially about political opposition, but this is not protest, they're just providing their support. Oh, look, they're young. They're young kids. Young kids are just getting arrested and put into prison for providing their support to the strongest opposition leader of Russia. This is devastating. Devastating. I tease apple bottom jeans. I love that. Okay, so there are protests outside Russian embassy in London. Yes, there are protests everywhere. Outside any Russian embassies, there are protests right now to provide support to the Navalny. Okay, let's see. Let's see some of the photos that Medusa. That is scary. So as soon as the videos come out, I will post it. I will post it in here, and we'll take a look at them together. So we are gathering all of the information as it comes in. Let's see. Угроза баллистики из Пирн сходу. This is some notifications. The notifications are coming in of the things that are happening. Okay. Let's take a look at some of the photos. So this one, okay. So this one right here, she is holding a sign where it says killers, right? And some of the memorial flowers, Aleksei Navalny. Oh, this one is in Latvia. Navalny umir, но надежда жива. So it says Navalny is dead, but the hope is alive. Okay, this in Riga. For some reason, it still wants to load. Why is it not loading? Okay, I hope this stream is actually you guys are able to see the stream and without a lot of interruptions. I've been having some Xfinity problems, and the Xfinity problems are not gonna go away anytime soon until I fight with them and then get everything together. So if it does start lagging, please type in that's lagging, or just type in 1111111, and so that way I'm tracking that it's lagging. Thank you. I find this all intriguing. Learning a lot here, and thank you for sharing your knowledge and thoughts. Absolutely. And I feel that I'm actually a right person to do this, because this has been my passion, learning about the Russia-Ukraine relations, and especially what's happening within Ukraine right now, and the war that is happening. And it's devastating. It's absolutely devastating of the fact that one of the strongest opposition leader and got killed in prison. Because if something did happen next month, something did happen and Putin got released from power, right? They would release Navalny and they would put him to for the people to vote for him. And I can guarantee you, there are so many supporters, there are so many silent supporters of his that are not speaking out because they're worried of getting arrested, because they're worried of getting any kind of prosecution. Because anytime you speak against the dictatorship within Russia, any time that you speak, then it's becoming just outrageous. You either get arrested, or you get fined, or you get prosecuted for no reason. you get prosecuted for protesting, because it's illegal to do any kind of protesting, and it's even illegal to say war in Ukraine. And then they saying it's military operations, right? Military operations, and then they call themselves humanitarians that fighting against Nazism regime. That is ridiculous. It's 100% ridiculous. So I can go on and on and on onto this rant, but right now we're talking about Navalny and why it is important to actually keep track of what's going on. So I've been getting a lot of the different notifications to see what's happening, and we're gathering any kind of information that we can from Russia, from the different Russian channels that are not propaganda channels. And then as it comes in, I'm translating it to you, and we're just here. One of the reasons that I can talk about it, I'm happy I don't live there, I feel sorry for this, they do. Yeah. And one of the reasons that I can talk about it, because this thing that we have in America is free speech, right? And then I'm protected. I'm a United States citizen, and I want to express my opposition. I want to express the support for Ukraine, the support for Ukrainian people. And I also, because the stuff that's happening in Ukraine, it's not Russian war, it's Putin's war. And I want to express my my gratitude to a lot of efforts that propaganda fighters, that the fight against propaganda, like this website Medusa, they're fighting against propaganda, and they're trying to get any kind of information that is happening from Russia without any sorry. Like I said, I'm still getting notifications. I wanted to make sure the notifications are good for you to actually take a look, and I'll be able to. Полицейские избили жителя Москвы Максима Соколова при задержании Соловецкого камня. So they're saying that police brutally beat up Moscow resident Maxim Sokolov, basically brutally beat him up. Yeah, so like I said, as it's all coming in, it's all brand new, and it's really coming in from there. Okay, встреча Навального с Тихоновском сообщает в Телеграме лидера. Okay, so Yulia Navalnaya, which is she's the wife, Navalny's wife. She just now met up with leader of Belarusian opposition. Let me see. Okay. Oh, she looks so sad. Her eyes are puffy. Okay. They're speaking in Russian. Let me translate it for you. Okay, hold on a second. Let me just translate it for you, really what they're talking about. Okay. So there's a Belarusian opposition leader as well, where this meeting is actually very important, the fact that they're meeting together, because she's been strong. His wife's been very, very strong voice. She has a very strong voice in Europe, and she's been keeping all of this alive after his arrest. And I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if she actually runs against. But I believe she has dual citizenship, actually Russian citizenship and United States citizenship, and they live in Germany. Okay, so let's see. Yulia Navalnaya встретилась со Светланой Тихо. Okay, Yulia Navalnaya met with Svetlana Tikhanovska and Ursula von der Leyen. Navalny's meeting with Tikhanovska was reported in a Telegram channel of the leader of Belarusian opposition Today, it became known about the death in the colony of political prisoner Aleksei Navalny. Svetlana Tikhanovskaya personally met with his wife Yulia and expressed sincere condolences. Their meeting was held in closed format, the statement said. Okay, so closed format, obviously okay, so they're not gonna come out about like what they actually said. Can you guys hear this? Hold on just one second. Let me close the door really fast. Okay, I'm back. Let's see. Yeah. So I am glad that she's been speaking out. She's a very, very strong woman, and I would love to see her or at least somebody else to become in opposition. Imagine if she's actually going to run and she wins the election and we're gonna have a woman as a president. But anyways, that's I have high hopes. I have high hopes, right? So you know what? Let's send a whole bunch of purple hearts in the chat. If you guys are still listening, let's just send a bunch of purple hearts in the chat to support him. Okay, let's continue on with the pictures. It's a sad day. I don't know. We'll see what's gonna happen. Hey, Dylan. It's good to see you. We'll see what's gonna happen. We'll see what's going to happen. Melissa, it's good to see you. Okay, so this one, he says, Putin, твое место в аду. Basically, it says that Putin, your place is in hell. Let's see. This one is Putin убийца, which is Putin is the killer, and there's a picture of him. And the next one. This one says не забудем, не простим. We're not gonna forget, and we're not gonna forgive. So you have more memorial pictures. Очень просто, не сдавайтесь. It says very simple, don't give up. And this is his quote. This is actually Navalny's quote right here. Выходите не за меня, выходите за себя. Basically, he's saying that don't go out for me. Go out for yourself. As in, like, come out and be the opposition. Be the strong voice. Be the people's voice. And that's what he was doing. He was for the people, for the Russian people. And because he was very strong, very, very strong opposition. Because he was very strong opposition, that's why Russia has killed him. Putin. So this is in Estonia. No Putin, no war. Putin is a killer. We already know that. This one's Я убийца, assassin. Putin. Okay, so same thing, same signs. Yeah, this is and this is all over the world. Like, this is all over the world. Yeah. Tragic, such an obvious assassination. That's right, because so I wanted to thank members. By the way, if you do want to become a member, feel free to become a member. I do some member only either live streams or any kind of announcements, and you get to see a little bit of hazmat and a little bit of my life that's happening. That's actually around this house. And one of the things is like your membership is supporting us, supporting this channel, and we're able to. I was actually able to purchase something better equipment with this, so that way we can continue on and spreading the word about this and about anything else that is going around the world. Or we talk about nuclear weapons, we talk about WMDs, we talk about like very interesting topics while we're taking care of anything around the house, or sometimes we're going kayaking and carrying on like really good conversations. And Hazmat usually is hanging out with me. I usually have a puppy cam, but he's not here. He decided to sleep in. I keep telling you, my phone's been blowing up like all morning. It's already like 12:12, and it's been blowing up all morning. Okay, let's continue on. I want to take a look at these pictures. Serbia. So, Vladimir. I maybe for the next stream we're gonna use this as a thumbnail. Hey, welcome to the membership. Welcome. This is fantastic. Thank you. You won't regret. I'm gonna do a lot more members only streams pretty soon, and we'll put a lot more pictures out there. Wow. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. Vladimir. Oh yeah, and then you get different emojis. We got different hazmat emojis, and we have one love it. I know I need to come up with a little bit of different emojis as well. Часто с ними соглашался Путин, у нас часто остановился. Ooh, okay. So this one, бывший президент Грузии, 1 second. It's a previous president of. Let's see. It's a previous president of Georgia, actually, Mikhail Saakashvili. He said, "Я часто с ним не соглашался, Putin." Okay, I often disagreed with him, and Putin often compared us and hated both of us equally. That's what former Georgian President Mikhail Saakashvili just said, sentenced to prison in his homeland on the death of Navalny. Okay, yeah, this is just in. Навального больше нет, давайте вместе попробуем осознать это. Okay, so basically there's calling for protests, calling for support all throughout the world right now. Okay, so they had in Moscow, they just arrested a young guy that he had ubitsa, which is killer. It means just the sign says killer. And then in Petersburg, in Petersburg, they arrested over 20 people, and including some of the journalists. Okay, so let's see. Including some of the journalists, in Murmansk, they arrested a young lady. She was holding the sign. It says "Его кровь на твоих руках, Вова." So basically, his blood is on your hands, Vladimir. Then в Томске and Yekaterinburg убрали стихи. Okay, so they got rid of the memorials. Basically, the people came in civilian clothes and started taking the memorials down. Yaroslavl, same thing. So there's more protests are happening in Yaroslavl, in Belgorod. So in Belgorod, they actually turned off the lights in the whole city. Oh no, not the whole city. I'm sorry. Not far from a memorial. Yeah, so they turned off all of the lights, like, around the memorial itself. Oh my god. Фотографии сегодня стало известно, что Okay, so there's photographer Dmitry Markov. He's famous for he so photographer Dmitry Markov has died as well. So he was famous for making a lot of photos, a lot of photos of protests. So he just mysteriously died as well. Okay, so in Dmitry Markov in 2022, Markov released a book, Russia in the Square. So okay, I guess they start killing journalists now. And then he was very famous for taking very controversial photos, especially showing how Russia really is. I appreciate your knowledge, Zanamin. Thank you, thank you. You know, that's why we're here. We're here to see what's going on. Okay, so Dmitry Markov just died. Let's see. Let's look into that really fast. Okay, Dmitry Markov. Umir an hour ago. Oh my god, he just died an hour ago. Okay, so Dmitry Markov. Actually, you know what? Medusa just posted that too. So okay, so he was 41. Okay, so the cause of death is unknown. Oh my god. This is terrible. So there's just start killing all the photographers. So he was one of the photographers that actually helped out Navalny as well. And then he took some very good photographs that helped Navalny to spread his message. And that's ridiculous. I'm sure that's not going to be the first death that we hear within this month, because remember, next month between the 15th and 17th is Russian elections. So I'm sure some people are going to start falling out of the windows. It's shocking that they feel that they can get away with this in front of the whole world. Yeah, because it's so sheltered. It is so sheltered over there. Imagine having on TV, like for example, your news stations, it's nothing but Russian state-run propaganda, and it's rolling all the time. For example, I like to have news on the background, like as I'm cleaning the house or anything else. I always like to have news in the background, and since let's see. Okay, so since it just kind of helps to have that little background noise, right? But imagine in Russia, they're on the news stations and nothing but state-run propaganda, and then there's older ladies like cleaning the house or anything else and running all of this propaganda in the back, and then it gets just entrenched in their core, and then they're thinking this is it, this is the news, this is the world news, that the fact that America hates Russia, or like the rest of the world is against Russia, the UN is against Russia, and it's ridiculous. But younger generation, they're able to gather the news like what we're doing right now, right? Through YouTube, through Medusa, through different other channels, and they know. And every time there's a different protest, or every time something's happening, they get arrested. So as we saw some videos earlier where young ladies were getting arrested with flowers, trying to put the respect to Navalny, and then having any kind of like memorial. Now the memorials are getting taken apart. Hi, Nicole. Welcome. Okay, so let's continue on. Forwarded from Kit Aleksei. If I'm pausing right now, I am, like I said, I'm just reading the latest news that are coming out, and that's why I'm pausing, because I want to make sure I get translation, because this is something it's from Medusa, and it's something not going to be in the news right away. It's going to be in the news later on, and this is stuff that's coming out straight from good sources, not propaganda sources, very good sources in Russia, and then we'll get to see some videos and pictures like this one, right? This one is protests, different protests. Russia is a terrorist state. So Georgia, then Germany, der Mörder, Putin, der Mörder. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Some Russia. That's in St. Petersburg. We got some pictures from Moscow, the different gatherings. Let's see, different gatherings from Moscow. This is from Moscow as well. And get this, it's about midnight in Russia right now. There's more. В Tomsке жители. And remember, we're not going to play sound just in case. Well, actually, you know what? This one we probably can't play. It's just this. The other information that we're gathering from Russia itself and from the rest of the world, we're not going to play sound, because we don't. It's unvetted videos that I mean by me, so I don't want to. I don't want to have a copyright strike in here, so we can spread the information further.
Можете, пожалуйста, прокомментировать, по какому случаю вы возлагаете цветы сюда?
She said, "Can you make any comments? Why are you putting the flowers over here?"
По поводу смерти Алексея Навального.
He say because of the death of Aleksei Navalny. So he has a lot of supporters within Russia itself. So this one is in Tomsk, city in Tomsk. So more photos, памяти жертв политических. Some more memorial. So these are all of these in Russia, Kazan, Novosibirsk, Vologda, Murmansk, and so on. Okay, let's see if they have anything else put out. It's scary to think how people can be led like sheep to think a certain way and believe certain things. Yeah, you're very, very right. Okay, so 17 minutes ago, police are arresting people near Moscow Solovyensky Stone. Okay, so we already watched this video. We watched this video as soon as it came out, right? But we can watch it again. So they were saying do not hit him, do not brutalize him, and how shameful they're saying, like shameful, shame, and that's like a little translation for you guys. And then, as you can say, they were throwing snow at the police department. So there's another protester arrested, and I already reported on all of this. Yeah, we already seen all of this. Michael McFaul came out. Putin killed Navalny. Former U.S. ambassador to Russia, Michael McFaul, came out that Putin killed Navalny. Okay, video. I wanted to. Hold on just 1 second. Where did the video go? I wanted to show you, the video of Yulia Navalny, and I'll do the translation. Well, there are some subtitles in there, but I think it's gonna be more heartfelt if you just watch, and I'll do the translation as well. I know we saw like a little segment, a little bit, but this is something. So she spoke in Munich security conference as it all happened. Let's see. All right. So this is Aleksei Navalny's wife. Share screen. There you go. And then that way I can translate it for you. Even though there's subtitles and everything, I can just like read a little bit subtitles.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to.
Oh, well, anyways, they finally have a translation. So this is from DW, which is Deutsche World. It's a German news station.
Наверное, вы все уже видели приходящие сегодня ужасные новости.
And you all heard
Я тоже
about
думала,
the horrific news.
стоит ли мне
About
выйти сюда или сразу
quite a
лететь
while. I thought, should
к своим
I
детям.
stand here before you,
Но
or
потом
should
я
I go
подумала,
back to my
что бы
children?
сделал Алексей.
Okay, so I think this is a little too much of a noise. Let's find another video of that. Yeah, it's a bit of a it's a bit of a noisy situation in here with that translation. Can we watch this? Yeah, this one. So that way they have that way you can actually hear the sadness in her voice. I know you might not be able to understand it, but you can actually like hear the sadness in her voice. And obviously you can tell that she was crying, and this is so sad. Come on.
Приходящие сегодня ужасные новости.
The terrible news coming in today. Well, there's subtitles and stuff we can
Я долго
read.
думала, стоит ли мне выйти сюда или сразу лететь к моим детям.
I thought for a long time if she should stay here or like come out here, or she should fly to her children.
Но потом я подумала, что бы сделал Алексей на моем месте. И
But
я
then-
уверена, что он бы был здесь. Он был бы на этой сцене. Я не знаю, верить или нет тем новостям, ужасным новостям, которые мы получаем только из государственных источников в России. Потому что долгие годы, и вы все это знаете, мы не можем верить Путину и путинскому правительству. Они всегда лгут. Но если это правда, я хочу, чтобы Путин, все его окружение, путинские друзья, его правительство знали, что они понесут за то, что они сделали с нашей страной, с моей семьей и с моим мужем ответственность. И этот день наступит очень скоро. И я хочу призвать все мировое сообщество, всех находящихся в этом зале, людей во всем мире, чтобы мы вместе сплотились и победили это зло, победили ужасающий режим, который сейчас в России. И этот режим и Владимир Путин должны понести персональную ответственность за все те ужасные вещи, которые они делают с моей страной, с нашей страной России в последние годы.
That was just fantastic. I was hoping that you guys were able to read some subtitles and stuff, but so one thing, so this is something just now came out. Okay, so basically Navalny right now, Alexei Navalny is on every single front page. Yeah, bless her. She is one of the strongest women that I have seen to actually speaking out against Putin, against his regime. And she's saying, like, for my people, for the Russian people. And before Navalny got arrested, before he went into, because he flew into Russia and he wanted to say, like, I'm here for the Russian people, because how can I be for the people if I'm not in the country? And they're asking him, aren't you scared? Aren't you scared that they're going to arrest you and kill you, right? And he said, I know, like, yes, I am scared, but I feel like this is a right thing for me to do. And that's what he did. And he was like, I'm here for the people. I'm here for the Russian people. And he has so many supporters, so many outspoken supporters, so many silent supporters. And because the families are breaking apart, and there's because of the war as well, the families are breaking apart, and the war in Ukraine, and now the whole cultures are breaking apart, even though we have a similar likes and similar things that we like. The food wise, we share a lot of cultural traits, and our cultures are intertwined, but now it's all broken apart. It's all broken apart in between Russian and Ukraine, and it's going to take a lot of time to put it back together after Putin. It's going to take a lot of courage and a lot of people like her, like Yulia Navalny. A lot of people like her is going to take, the ones that are outspoken, the ones that are smart, the ones that don't want any corruption within Russia. They want to fight against it. They want to be there for the people, because there is no middle class in Russia. It's you either poor or you're rich. That's it. The people in there living barely on anything. And now a lot of families lost their sons, their husbands. Okay. So, yes, she is very strong, Nikki. Very strong. So, basically, Navalny is on every single front page right now. So this is BBC. Russian opposition leader Navalny has died. This is Bloomberg, right? Alexei Navalny, corruption fighter who defied Putin, dies at 47. Financial Times, Russian opposition activist Alexei Navalny has died, says prison service. The Guardian, today's briefing at the Washington Post. FBI informant Fannie Willis, Kansas, Gaza hospital. Okay. Russian opposition leader Alexander. So this is CNN, the New York Times, the Telegraph, Welt. This is German. Le Monde. Okay. So he is in the news all over the world, and hopefully this will be stronger leverage, stronger something than when Prigozhin was trying to go to Moscow. Okay, we have 8 new. Looking at, let's see, the New York Times. reaction around the world. We already seen some pictures. Like I said, you literally getting the firsthand news that is happening all over the world with this. And this is as it's coming out. Как нам жить без Навального, что делает оппозиция там? Okay. So basically, they're asking right now. They're asking like how we're going to create the new opposition and who's going to be the leader of this new opposition. Yeah, it's kind of funny. All eyes were on Putin a couple days ago when he had this interview with Tucker Carlson, and now all eyes are on Putin again. And guess what? This whole month, all eyes are going to be on Putin again and again and again because the next month is the elections. And I'm sure it's not the first time we're hearing somebody crossed over to the other side that has to deal with either opposition or somebody who wants him out of power. Okay, so Federal Penitentiary. So all of this. Okay, so this is the propaganda. Okay, so this is the Russian state news. I'm not going to play. I'm just going to listen really fast and translate it for you what they're saying. I'm listening. Okay, so basically he said that Navalny has passed away in prison after his little walk. He was walking and he just fell down and passed away. The medical department responded and they pronounced him dead on the scene. They're saying that he was in prison for serving in prison for a 19-year term for his extremism, like for his extremist beliefs, extremist ideologies. But they're not extremist ideologies. They are opposition to fight the corruption. Let's see what else we can find. Okay, so now we have Медуза продолжаем собирать реакции. Okay, so there are Medusa, the website Medusa, right? I'm gonna send the website again, which is like a very good website for actually gathering the information. So if you just coming in here, we're talking about Aleksei Navalny. There you go. So this is a really, really good website. Okay, so let's see. So Medusa said мы продолжаем собирать реакции на известного смерти Навального. So they are continue collecting the different reactions of the different presidents and of different people that actually said something about Navalny. So they have they already had multiple presidents coming out and talking about the ex-presidents. And then we just found out that Dmitry Markov, he has passed away. We don't, and then he's a photographer. He was a photographer, like he was a very strong photographer for the different oppositions. Okay, let's see. So remarks. Okay, so where different actors came out and started speaking against. There's actually Russian actors that are not in Russia anymore. So there's so there starts coming out and speaking against it. I mean, like against Putin, and then the fact that this was a wrongful death, and the fact that he got killed. So these are в городах России мирно начались акции памяти политика. And then there are a lot of people throughout Russia. They're still protesting, setting up memorials everywhere. And obviously we found out there are already some arrests are happening. So we have there. And then this one has, so this one right here, Medusa put it out. It says, if you are in Russia, and then here is what you can do to, they're basically putting out different sites where they can put some flowers and stuff, and then how, oh, this is really neat. Okay, so basically Medusa came out saying that if you in Russia, and then you got arrested because of this, because of like how the protest or just a memorial, if you got arrested just for the memorial, what you can do to fight it within the court system. So they actually put that out in here for Russian people, which is pretty interesting. Like different laws and different so если суд вдруг прощает, so if they go into if they get in charged with something, and then there's an anti-corruption foundation international, and they can like reach out to them, and then all they have to do is just pay a fine. This is interesting. This is good. And then they say, oh, don't forget to put VPN on your phone. This is how they fight. This is how they're putting their stuff out there, which is really good. Let's see what else. So I doubt we're going to get any latest and greatest news right now, because it's already really late at night in Russia. Let's say it's coming on an 1 a.m. What is this? Okay, so we already seen these videos of the protesters. Okay, so we already seen these videos. I'll show one more video. Yeah, I'll show one more video of this. And then we're gonna take a break, because I could use a break. We've been live for 2 hours and 15, but I'm going to come back. Okay, so we're going to take a break, but I'm going to come back, and then if I have any updates or anything, I'm going to come back tonight. I'm going to do another live tonight, so we'll just watch this video really fast again, and after that, yeah, hit that like notification bell. don't forget to hit the notification bell, because I'm gonna come back tonight to talk about more, to see if there's any other information came out, gathering, because right now it's coming on a very late in Russia, so I don't know if anything's going to happen, but I'm gathering the world information. I'm gathering anything that's happening within the United States, because the tragic loss of Alexei Navalny is extremely important, pivotal point in Putin's regime. And hopefully something is going to come out of this, because he did not die for nothing. And hopefully they get some kind of justice and something, but we'll see. Right now we just gathered as much information as we could from the very front lines, and then I was able to translate everything. So yeah, thank you for chat and being here as well. So let's watch this really fast. Once again, it's only in 1 minute 30 seconds. Right after that, we're gonna say our goodbyes. I need a break. I haven't eaten yet, because it's been ongoing process, and my phone's been blown up just so I can cover this, and so I can actually talk about like the different aspects and what's happening in Russia, and what's happening with this Navalny situation. All right, let's watch this really fast. I'm not going to turn on the sound because we don't want to get copyright. So this one, Москвы до Питера. So it's from Moscow to Petersburg. There's massive protests, and there is memorials, and the police officers are just cleaning up the memorials. So as you can tell, the black uniforms are the police officers, and then the young ladies are getting arrested, and anybody who came out to provide support, they are going to be spending a night in jail, and then hopefully they get released, or they're definitely going to get fined. And so because there is no freedom of speech in Russia whatsoever. Everything's run by state-run propaganda. And so it looks like the police are trying to disperse the crowd. This looks like a Petersburg, actually, because of the river. Yeah, this looks like a St. Petersburg. So the police are trying to disperse the protesters and telling them basically go home, and it's not even a protest, it's more of a support. They came out to support, because even if you come out with a blank sign and just stand there with a blank sign that has nothing to do with anything, most likely you will get arrested and thrown into prison. And look at that. And then they're just taking this young people and then putting them in jail tonight. And he's saying that basically disperse. And then she's like, I don't want to go. Okay, well, it looks like they let her go. Maybe because she had a dog with her, that's why they let her go, maybe. But yeah, it's pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal. Hey, thank you so much for hanging out here. Yeah, it is scary. So I would say, I know it's gonna be late for you, Nikki, over there. And so I would say I'll pop back on around 5 o'clock, and then hopefully we'll gather some more information. So, and then that way we get to see. I'll keep an eye on everything today. I'll try to gather a lot more information that's happening around the world. If anybody else mentions something, or I'll read a couple articles, and we just provide our support to Alexei Navalny's family. And I cannot believe that actually happened. The fact that he got murdered, and he's the strongest opposition leader in Russia to Putin. Thank you so much for hanging out here. So hit that bell notification, because I'll set up a live stream, and we're gonna go around 5 p.m. Sorry, my nose itches. But we'll go around 5 p.m. California time, or between 5 and 6 p.m. California time. I'll set up another live stream so we can talk about it and see what I gathered, again, actually coming out from the front lines, from Europe and from Russia and from different sources that are able to feed all of this information, and before it gets into the news and before it gets like extremely filtered. So that's why we're here. It is 2:20, and you guys have been fantastic commenters, and I can't believe I was talking for 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours long. Okay, so hit that like, support. We'll come back later tonight to talk about it more. And remember, love yourself, be yourself, and peace. Come on, play. Why not play? Okay, let's do this. Let's do this one more time. Let's do this one more time. Let me close out a couple windows. Okay, so remember, be yourself, love yourself, and I'll see you tonight. Peace.